Hi, I'm Chris Stead, Finder's gaming expert, and today I'm reviewing the PlayStation 5. I'd like to start by talking about what it is that I love about the PlayStation 5. Now, Sony had an opportunity here to probably rest on its laurels. The PlayStation 4 was the biggest selling console of the last generation by a stretch. For the 9th generation console, however, the company has taken some bold risks, and I think Sony deserves to be rewarded for that. Not only is it a powerful machine, and not quite as powerful as its biggest rival, the Xbox Series X, but still more than capable of delivering the highest quality visuals and resolutions and frame rates that we come to expect 2020 and beyond. But more importantly, it's the way that the console actually feels to play. This is a strange thing to try and communicate in a review, but if you're going to wow me in this generation of gaming, it can't just be with new graphics and faster frame rates. We're used to seeing that every single generation. What you need to do is provide something that actually feels like an actual evolutionary step forward in the experience of playing video games, and this is where the Sony PlayStation 5 succeeds. Okay, so when I talk about feel, what am I actually referring to? When you power up the PlayStation 5 for the first time, the user interface immediately feels modern, feels fresh. There's a lot of great features that they've put into a complete overhaul of the way that you experience a PlayStation on a ground level that makes you feel like you're actually taking the next step, the next evolutionary step in the Sony PlayStation experience. There's too many things to go into in this small review. If you want to see more, you should look at our review that's written up on the website. However, in terms of like the overlay of the UI over the game and how you can interact with different aspects of the game in one place, from the store to community creator content to tips and cheats that can be played in the picture-in-picture mode while you're playing the game, so that you can actually have the game here and the picture-in-picture there and actually see what you're supposed to be doing while you're actually playing. It feels very modern, very futuristic. On top of that, the console's UI is built very much in favor of streaming and sharing your own content. The HD PlayStation 5 camera comes with background removing software built in. The DualSense Controller has a mic in it, which has background noise removing software. So you can actually have a cutout of yourself talking about a game over the game while you're playing. It's straight out of the box professional YouTube experience, and you get it with the PlayStation 5 out of the box. Also, when I talk about feel, of course, I'm referring to the DualSense Controller. Now, Sony again took a big risk here. They ditched the DualShock 4. Well, the DualShock design has been with us for a couple of decades now, and went for the DualSense, completely different redesigned controller, and it makes a heck of a lot of difference. The haptic feedback in this thing is incredible. There's a built-in video game that comes with the console, Astro's Playroom. As soon as you power it on, as soon as you feel this thing kick in your hands, you're going to go, wow, we're in for a different experience for this next generation of gaming. The adaptive triggers in particular up here, where you get pressure as you pull back on the triggers, makes a huge difference as well. You can really feel the game in your hands. It's a new type of immersion that we haven't seen before in video gaming. I want to be wowed. I want to feel something new when I'm playing a next generation console, and this delivers it. Unfortunately, it's all just potential at this stage. Well, Astro's Playroom has it. I noticed a bit of it in Spider-Man, but in Spider-Man it was a lot more, I guess you could say, less specific. It was just a bit generic in the way it vibrated. And if developers don't pick up on this controller and use it the way it can be used, use its microphone, use its touchpad, use the adaptive triggers, use the haptic feedback in meaningful, fun ways, then it's going to become a gimmick. It's going to become like Kinect, a great piece of tech that no one ever used properly. So the DualSense controller does allow you to feel next generation gaming like we haven't seen before, but will developers use it long term? And this is going to tie back into later on in this review when I talk to what one of the biggest strengths about the PlayStation is, its ability to experience gaming in a different way. That's a potential for this console. Not necessarily something that's realised straight away, and something we may not actually understand fully for a couple of years to come. So a console is only ever as good as its games, and there was a little bit of complaint in the lead up to the release of the PlayStation 5 that the launch lineup wasn't that strong. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that launch lineups are generally not that great anyways. A lot of cross-generation games, and there's a lot of multi-format games in there. The PlayStation 5 is launching though with a decent run of exclusives. There's Godfall, The Pathless, Worms Rumble shortly after release, and then big boppers like Spider-Man Miles Morales, a sequel to the blockbuster game for the last generation, a Demon's Souls remake, a cool co-op platformer in Sackboy's Big Adventure, and Astro's Playroom, which I mentioned, which is built into the system. So they're all exclusive to the PlayStation 5 at launch, at the very least. There's others that are still being announced even as I tell you now. I think that's a reasonably strong and diverse lineup to launch with. I think the games that are coming in the next year or so are also looking really favourable. We've got follow-ups in the Horizon series, God of War series, Gran Turismo series, and Ratchet and Clank series that we already know about, and a huge run of not just exclusive but multi-format games heading into next year, including a new Resident Evil, we've got the Outriders, we've got Cyberpunk 2077, which is coming out this year in December, but is getting an HD upgrade early next year sometime. So plenty to look forward to. I think on the games fronts, we can always be confident that Sony will deliver a strong and diverse lineup of exclusive titles through the generation. They've been doing it for years, and much respect to them for their work in that space. Gaming-wise, plenty to look forward to at launch and beyond. So while there's plenty that I love about the PlayStation 5, and there's even more that I haven't gone into here that you can read in the review, there's also things that I don't quite like about this machine. Now, number one is the design. I know that's a bit hit and miss. Some people do like the design. I, for one, am not a big fan. It is as big as it looks. I mean, this is my head. I've got a big head. It's a pretty big console. The biggest problem is it also doesn't really lie down flat that elegantly. You can do it with a stand here, but it's not a beautiful piece of machinery that you want to have sitting underneath your TV and staring back at you for years to come. No doubt there'll be a PS5 Slim in the near future that will rectify some of that, but design-wise, I'm not too happy about the look of it. At least is sturdy, but it doesn't feel as sturdy and as beasty as the Xbox Series X. Also not a big fan of the USB port being dead center in the front there. It's going to mean cables hanging down the front of your machine no matter which way you put it, and that's a bit of a problem. I'm also worried about the ongoing costs of being a PlayStation 5 gamer. PlayStation 5 had 667 gigabytes of space left on the hard drive when I first turned it on, and that's not much in this day and age, especially when you've got games like Call of Duty, which are somewhere between 130 gigabytes and 230 gigabytes, depending on what you've got installed. That's a third of your game space taken up straight away. And some of the cool features, most of the good features like quick loading, the bigger game worlds, the fastest and possible frame rates and all that type of stuff, are reliant on that extra fast, super hardcore internal hard drive. You can expand your hard drive, but it comes at a significant cost. And PlayStation gamers are going to reach that threshold of needing more internal hard drive space faster than the Xbox Series X owners, which I might say also have a problem with size, just not as dramatic as it is on the PlayStation 5. On top of that, PlayStation doesn't have a subscription game service like the Xbox does in Game Pass, which means you'll be buying all of your games, well, a vast majority of your games anyway, at full price every single time you want them. Whereas on the Xbox Series X, you can pay a flat monthly fee and get access to a huge library of games, including every single one of the first-party blockbusters. I did a quick bit of maths on this, and I worked out if you bought 10 first-party games on Sony versus 10 first-party games on the Xbox, there's about a $700 difference here in Australia, about a 70% difference in price. So that's reasonably significant ongoing cost that PlayStation owners are going to have to wear. I'm also a little bit disappointed with how Sony's approached PlayStation VR. I understand that the focus right now is on the PS5 console, but PSVR was a major point of difference for the console and something that shouldn't have been ignored like it has been ignored at launch. You can play a PS4 headset with your PlayStation 5, but not with PlayStation 5 games. They have to be PS4 games. You have to use PS4 controllers, and you need a PS4 to PS5 adapter for the HD camera on your last PlayStation in order to be able to do it. Even then, it's pretty unclear whether anyone's going to update their games to make use of the extra power. Now, the PlayStation VR could have been a huge hit on this particular console because the number one thing that held it back on the PlayStation 4 was the console didn't really have the power to really run VR at the kind of experience that we wanted to expect from the HTC and the Oculus. Now with the new console, with the added power, we would have been able to beat that. And I think that not just completely ignoring PSVR for the launch window was a bad call. So, should you buy a PlayStation 5? Look, this is a great console. I'm really impressed with Sony's effort here to try and be next generation, to try and be more than it was in the last generation with the PlayStation 4, and it's achieved that goal. This is a console which has the potential to really push gaming forward to another level. It's trying to do it with the controller, it's trying to do it with the internal hard drive, it's trying to do it with its Tempest 3D audio engine, it's trying to do it with its new UI, and it achieves the foundations for something great. What we need to see is a consistent run of games that actually execute on the potential of this console moving into the forward. I think you can take that risk. I think you can invest in a PlayStation 5 with confidence. And if you want to save a bit of money, I highly recommend looking at the PlayStation 5 Digital Edition, which is exactly the same console inside, it just lacks the drive. And if you've moved on to streaming your TV, streaming your music, streaming your movies, and you don't have a whole lot of PlayStation 4 discs that you want to play on backwards compatibility, there's really no need to pay for the Blu-ray drive nowadays. It really is starting to become old tech. If Sony can further on in this generation come to market with an alternative to Game Pass, its own game subscription service, and if it can hit the market again with a PlayStation VR 2.0 headset, which really moves virtual reality forward and plugs it into this crazy great ecosystem they've created with the PlayStation 5, this is going to be a killer system which has every chance of matching its predecessor and passing the 100 million sales mark. Give it a go. Greatness does await on PlayStation 5. I hope you enjoyed our recap of the PlayStation 5 review. Obviously, to read the full transcript on everything that we thought about the machine, please visit the finder.com.au website. You'll also find a review up there for the Xbox Series X if you'd like to compare the two consoles and see which one is right for you.